She sits in the quiet corner of a startup office at 9 p.m., surrounded by tasks no one else wanted, when her manager drops a thin manila folder on her desk and says, "Just get this to legal by Friday." It looks like every other document she's handled that week, unremarkable, routine, forgettable. She glances at it, nods, and slides it under a stack of invoices without opening it. Her manager is already halfway to the elevator, phone pressed to his ear, talking about quarterly projections. He doesn't look back. The office hums with the low static of after-hours silence, computers left running, the coffee maker still warm, someone's forgotten lunch in the fridge. She's the last one here again. Not because anyone asked her to stay. She just always is. Her desk is a landscape of other people's urgencies. Expense reports that need reconciling. A client gift that needs wrapping. A calendar full of meetings she'll attend but never speak in. She looks at the folder again, weighing whether to open it now or later. Later, she decides. There's always later. She turns back to her screen, responding to an email about catering for Thursday's investor meeting. The folder sits there, patient and still, beneath papers that feel more pressing. What she doesn't know, what she can't know, is that inside that folder is a partnership clause with her name on it. A door her boss opened in secret. A reward for 3 years of invisible loyalty, endless late nights, and the kind of competence that holds a company together without ever taking the stage. All it needs is her timely delivery and one final signature from legal, but she doesn't open it. She finishes the email. Closes her laptop. Puts the folder in her bag, thinking she'll handle it tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes Wednesday. Wednesday becomes Thursday. By the time Friday arrives, she's buried in deadlines, and the folder is still untouched, waiting at the bottom of her tote. She tells herself it's fine. It's just a document. Her manager didn't say it was urgent in that urgent way, no red flags, no all-cap subject lines, no follow-up texts. Just a simple request delivered in passing. So she lets it sit. On Friday afternoon, she remembers. A sudden jolt of panic while she's standing in line at a cafe near the office. She pulls out her phone, scrolls through her notes, checks her task list. The folder. Legal. Friday. It's 4:30 p.m., legal closes at 5. She considers running back, but her phone buzzes, her manager, calling from the airport. He's flying to Singapore for the investor roadshow. He sounds rushed, distracted. He asks if she sent the gift baskets to the board members. She says yes. He thanks her and hangs up before she can ask about the folder. She stands there in the cafe, holding her coffee, weighing the effort it would take to sprint back to the office, find the legal team, and hand over a document she still hasn't read. It's probably fine, she thinks. She'll handle it Monday. She goes home. The folder stays in her bag all weekend, buried under a gym towel and a book she's been meaning to read. On Monday morning, she arrives at the office and everything feels different. The air is sharper. The energy is louder. People are clustered in groups near the kitchen, talking in low, excited tones. She sets her bag down, pulls out the folder, and looks at it for the first time with something close to dread. But before she can open it, her coworker Jenna rushes over, eyes wide. "Did you hear?" She shakes her head. "We closed the deal. The European investors came through. It's huge. Like, huge. They're restructuring everything." She feels her stomach tighten. "What do you mean, restructuring?" Jenna lowers her voice. "New leadership. New offices. Half the management team is getting moved. It's going to be a completely different company by next quarter." She looks down at the folder in her hands. Still sealed. Still undelivered. And suddenly, the office feels smaller. The hum of voices around her blurs into static. She watches people celebrate, watches her manager's office being packed into boxes by assistants she's never seen before. Watches the company she helped build in silence begin to transform into something she no longer recognizes. She slides the folder back into her bag. Maybe it doesn't matter anymore. But deep down, in a place she's not ready to look yet, she knows. She knows something just slipped through her fingers. Something that won't come back. They said real stories don't matter anymore. If you believe truth still has a voice, subscribe to Hotspot True Life Stories. Let's continue. She's been with the company since it operated out of a cramped WeWork in downtown Toronto, back when there were 5 employees and one dream. She remembers the first day clearly. A Tuesday in March. Cold rain against the windows. The founder, Daniel, sitting on a folding chair with his laptop balanced on a cardboard box, talking about disrupting an industry she didn't fully understand yet. He needed someone to handle the operational chaos so he could focus on vision. Someone organized. Someone reliable. Someone who didn't need to be seen. She took the job for practical reasons. Rent was due. Her previous company had downsized. This seemed stable enough, and Daniel seemed kind, tired, but kind. He promised her that if the company grew, she'd grow with it. She believed him because she wanted to. Those early months were a blur of impossible tasks. She booked flights on budgets that didn't exist. She built spreadsheets that turned chaos into clarity. She reminded Daniel to eat, to sleep, to call his wife. When the company couldn't afford a second hire, she did the work of 3 people without complaint. While others pitched ideas in glass conference rooms, she made sure the ideas had structure, formatted decks, booked client meetings, tracked expenses, remembered birthdays, ordered lunch for late-night strategy sessions. She never asked for credit, and nobody offered it. Her coworkers smile at her in hallways but rarely remember her name. She's heard herself referred to as Daniel's assistant so many times that she started to forget she has a title. Officially, she's operations coordinator. Unofficially, she's the person people go to when something needs to be fixed and they don't know who else to ask. Can you handle this? Can you figure that out? Can you make sure this doesn't fall apart? She always says yes. The company grows. 15 employees. Then 30. Then 50. They move into a real office with exposed brick and standing desks and a coffee machine that makes 4 types of lattes. New hires arrive with impressive degrees and confident handshakes. They talk about growth strategies and market positioning. They take meetings she organizes but is never invited to. She tells herself that quiet competence will be noticed eventually. That doing the work well is the same as being valued. She doesn't realize she's become functionally invisible. There's a moment, about a year in, when she almost speaks up. The company lands its first major client, and Daniel gathers everyone in the main space to celebrate. He thanks the sales team. He thanks the product team. He talks about vision and execution and the people who believed in the mission from the beginning. She stands in the back, waiting to hear her name. It doesn't come. Afterwards, one of the new hires, a marketing manager named Olivia, approaches her near the coffee machine. You've been here since the start, right? She nods. That must be nice. Watching it all come together. She wants to say, I didn't just watch. I built half of this. Instead, she smiles and says, it's been a good journey. Olivia gets her latte and walks away. She stands there alone, holding her mug, feeling something she can't quite name. Not anger. Not sadness. Something quieter. A slow erosion. You know how people start acting different when money enters the room. When a company goes from scrappy to legitimate, the air changes. People start caring about titles. About who sits where in meetings. About who gets mentioned in company updates. She watches it happen in real time. The early team, the ones who used to eat pizza on the floor at midnight, starts wearing blazers. They stop answering her messages as quickly. They book their own travel now, through an assistant they share. She's slowly edited out of processes she created. One afternoon, she overhears 2 executives talking in the hallway outside her workspace. We need to professionalize operations. Agreed. Someone strategic. Someone who can scale with us. She keeps typing, pretending she doesn't hear. That night, she goes home to her small apartment in Leslieville and sits by the window, looking out at the streetlights. Her phone buzzes. A message from Daniel. Can you put together a board deck by Friday? Investor meeting moved up. No please. No thank you in advance. Just an assumption that she'll do it. She replies, of course. She doesn't ask what the meeting is about. She doesn't ask if this might affect her role. She's learned not to ask questions that might make her seem insecure or uncommitted. Instead, she opens her laptop and starts building the deck. Slide 1, Company Overview. Slide 2, Growth Metrics. Slide 3, Market Opportunity. She knows these numbers better than anyone. She tracked them. She organized them. She turned Daniel's scattered thoughts into coherent narratives that investors could believe in. But her name won't be on the deck. It never is. By Thursday, the deck is finished. She sends it to Daniel at 11 p.m., then closes her laptop and stares at the ceiling, wondering when effort stopped feeling like progress and started feeling like maintenance. She thinks about the folder again. The one she still hasn't opened. The one sitting in her bag, forgotten beneath the weight of everything else. It's probably nothing, she tells herself. Just another task in an endless list. But somewhere, in the part of her that still hopes, a quiet voice whispers, what if it wasn't? On Monday morning, she arrives at the office and knows immediately that something is different. The air feels charged. Electric. Like the moment before a storm breaks. She swipes her key card at the entrance, and the lobby has changed. New furniture, sleek, expensive, the kind you see in design magazines. A receptionist she's never seen before sits at the front desk, younger, polished, wearing a headset and typing with perfect posture. The woman glances up. Can I help you? She pauses, caught off guard. She's been coming through this door for 3 years. She's never had to explain herself before. I work here. Operations. The receptionist scrolls through something on her screen, frowning slightly. Name? She gives it. A few seconds pass. Then a polite smile. Oh, there you are. Go ahead. She walks toward the elevator, feeling strangely like a guest in her own building. Upstairs, the office is unrecognizable. The open workspace has been divided into private offices with frosted glass. There are people in tailored suits she's never seen before, standing in clusters, speaking in low tones. The coffee machine has been replaced with something sleek and European. Even the smell is different, new carpet, fresh paint, expensive leather. She sets her bag down at her desk, which somehow looks smaller now, tucked into a corner that used to feel cozy but now feels forgotten. Jenna appears at her side, breathless, eyes wide with contained chaos. Did you hear? She shakes her head, though she's starting to piece it together. We closed the deal. The European investors came through. It's massive. Like, change everything massive. They're restructuring the whole company. Her stomach tightens. What do you mean, restructuring? Jenna lowers her voice, leaning in. New leadership. Daniel's moving to Chief Visionary Officer, whatever that means. They're bringing in a CEO from London. Half the management team is getting reassigned to other cities. New York, Singapore, Berlin. They're scaling fast. She tries to keep her face neutral, but her hands feel cold. When did this happen? Over the weekend. Emergency board meeting. They signed everything Saturday night. She thinks about her weekend. She went to a farmer's market. She cleaned her apartment. She watched a movie and fell asleep on the couch. While she was living her small, quiet life, the company she helped build was being dismantled and rebuilt without her. What about us? She asks. What about operations? Jenna hesitates. I don't know yet. They're doing individual meetings this week. I think they're evaluating everyone. The word evaluating lands like a stone in her chest. She watches people move through the office, new faces, confident strides, expensive watches. They look like they belong here in a way she suddenly doesn't. Her manager's office is being packed into boxes by assistants she's never seen before. His nameplate is already gone from the door. She feels something rising in her throat. Not panic. Not yet. Just a creeping sense of displacement. She remembers the folder suddenly. The one her manager gave her. The one she never delivered. Her hands move before her mind catches up. She reaches into her bag, digging past her wallet, her keys, a receipt from last week's lunch. Her fingers find the manila folder, still sealed, still untouched. She pulls it out and stares at it. Still undelivered. Her heart starts to pound, slow and heavy. What was in this? Why did he give it to her? And why, in the chaos of restructuring and new leadership and everything changing, does this folder suddenly feel like it matters more than anything else? She starts to open it, her fingers trembling slightly against the clasp. Excuse me. She looks up. A man in a charcoal suit stands in front of her desk, holding an iPad, his expression polite but impersonal. Are you Elena? She nods. I'm with the transition team. We're consolidating workspace assignments this week. I'll need you to clear your desk by Wednesday and move to the 3rd floor. Someone from HR will send you the details. He doesn't wait for a response. He just makes a note on his iPad and walks away. She sits there, holding the folder, feeling the ground shift beneath her. The 3rd floor, that's where they put contractors, freelancers, people who aren't permanent. She looks around the office, at the new furniture, the unfamiliar faces, the glass walls that seem designed to make everything visible and nothing personal. She doesn't belong here anymore, maybe she never did. That night, she takes the folder home, she sets it on her kitchen table and stares at it for 20 minutes, afraid to open it, afraid of what she'll find. Finally, she breaks the seal. Inside is a single document, clean, professional, printed on company letterhead. At the top, in bold, confidential partnership agreement. Her eyes scan the page, not fully comprehending at first, legal terms, clauses about equity distribution. Profit-sharing structures, conditional timelines. And then she sees it. Her name. Elena Marchetti, proposed as junior partner, operations division, contingent upon acceptance and countersignature by legal counsel no later than April 12. She checks the date on the document. April 8, today is April 29. The clause expired 17 days ago. She reads it again, then again, her hands are shaking now, the paper crinkling under her grip. This wasn't just a document to deliver, this was her future, and she set it aside because it looked ordinary. She sits in her small kitchen, under the hum of the refrigerator, holding a piece of paper that was supposed to change her life, and realizes with perfect, horrible clarity. The opportunity never announced itself. It just waited quietly. And then it left. She didn't sleep that night. She lied on the bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment from that Friday 3 weeks ago. The cafe, the phone call, the decision to wait until Monday. A decision that cost her everything. By morning, her eyes are dry and tired, but her mind is sharp with a desperate kind of clarity. She needs to know if this can be fixed, if there's some way to reverse what she missed. She arrives at the office early, before the new receptionist, before the transition team with their iPads and polite dismissals. She goes straight to HR. The door is closed, she knocks. A woman she's never met opens it, mid-40s, efficient smile, name tag that says Carolyn, People Operations. Can I help you? I need to ask about a partnership agreement. From a few weeks ago. I think there was a misunderstanding about the timeline. Carolyn's smile doesn't falter, but something shifts behind her eyes. I'm sorry, what's your name? Elena Marchetti. I've been here since the beginning. Operations coordinator. Carolyn nods slowly, opening her laptop. Let me pull up your file. She types for what feels like an eternity. Then she stops, reads something on the screen, and her expression becomes carefully neutral. I see, you're scheduled for a transition meeting on Thursday. We can discuss your role status then. I'm not asking about my role, I'm asking about a partnership agreement. It had my name on it. Carolyn closes her laptop gently. Elena, I'm not authorized to discuss agreements outside of scheduled reviews. If there's something you need clarified, you can bring it up during your meeting. But the document expired, I didn't know what it was, I just need to know if. Thursday at 2 p.m., Carolyn's voice is kind but final, we'll address everything then. She leaves HR feeling smaller than when she entered. The week crawls forward, she watches new hires move into offices she used to organize, she sees people half her tenure leading meetings, making decisions, shaking hands with executives she's only seen from a distance. On Tuesday, she gets an email reassigning her workspace. 3rd floor, desk 14B, shared printer access, no window. On Wednesday, she packs her things into a cardboard box, 3 years of work reduced to office supplies and a coffee mug someone gave her last Christmas. Nobody helps her carry the box downstairs. Thursday arrives. At 1:55 p.m., she sits outside a conference room on the 6th floor, waiting for her transition meeting. Her hands are folded in her lap. The folder is in her bag, in case she needs to show them. In case it matters. At 2:10, Carolyn opens the door and gestures her inside. The room is small, windowless. There's a man she doesn't recognize sitting across from Carolyn, late 50s, gray suit, tired eyes. He introduces himself as part of the external consulting team managing the restructure. Carolyn starts. Elena, thank you for your patience during this transition. We want to be transparent with you about where things stand. She nods, gripping the edge of her chair. Due to the recent leadership changes and the strategic refocus of the company, we're consolidating several operational roles. Your position as operations coordinator is being absorbed into a centralized team managed out of New York. The words land slowly, like she's hearing them through water. We're offering you a modified role as administrative support, 3rd floor, reporting to the new office manager. It's a 6-month contract with the possibility of renewal based on performance. She feels her throat tighten. Administrative support. Carolyn nods gently. It's a good role, stable, and given the transition period, we think it's a fair fit. I've been here for 3 years. We understand, and we value your contributions. The man in the gray suit speaks for the first time, his voice flat. The alternative is a severance package. 2 months' salary, standard non-disclosure agreement. She looks between them, searching for something, recognition, empathy, acknowledgement that this isn't fair. She finds nothing. Can I ask a question? Her voice is quieter than she wants it to be. Carolyn nods. A few weeks ago, my manager gave me a document. A partnership agreement. It had my name on it. I didn't deliver it in time, and it expired. I need to know, was that real? Carolyn exchanges a glance with the consultant. Something passes between them, unspoken. Elena, Carolyn says carefully, I can't speak to informal discussions or preliminary drafts that may have been circulated before the restructure. What I can tell you is that all partnership decisions are now managed by the new executive team, and those decisions are based on current strategic priorities. So it doesn't matter. Carolyn's silence is answer enough. She leaves the meeting 20 minutes later with a contract she hasn't signed and a severance offer she doesn't want. That evening, she does something she's avoided for weeks. She searches for her old manager online. His LinkedIn has been updated. New title, VP of Strategic Partnerships, Singapore office. His profile picture shows him standing in front of a harbor, smiling, looking successful and far away. She sends him a message. Short, direct. I found the folder. I'm sorry I didn't deliver it. Was it real? 3 days pass. No response. On Sunday, she runs into someone unexpected. She's at a coffee shop in the financial district, the kind of place where people work on laptops and pretend not to eavesdrop. She's sitting by the window when she sees him, Marcus, the former CFO, the man who left the company 6 months ago to start his own fund. He recognizes her immediately, walks over. Elena. I didn't know you were still at the company. She forces a smile. Barely. He sits down across from her without asking, his expression suddenly serious. What happened? She doesn't know why she tells him. Maybe because he's not part of the new regime, maybe because she has nothing left to protect. She tells him about the folder, about the partnership agreement, about the meeting with HR. His face changes as she talks, something between surprise and disappointment. When she finishes, he leans back, exhaling slowly. Did you ever deliver the folder? No. He's quiet for a long time, then he says, Elena, that agreement was Daniel's idea. He fought for it, told the board you were the backbone of the company. That you deserved equity. Her chest tightens. It wasn't a draft, it was real. All it needed was your signature and one counter-signature from legal. She can barely breathe. Why didn't anyone tell me? Marcus looks at her with something close to pity. Because Daniel thought you knew. He trusted you to handle it like you handled everything else. He pays for his coffee and stands to leave. Before he goes, he turns back. I'm sorry, Elena. You deserved better. And then he's gone. She sits there, staring at nothing, as the truth settles into her bones. Her breakthrough wasn't stolen. It was missed. She can't let it go. Not the conversation with Marcus. Not the weight of what he said. Not the image of Daniel fighting for her while she was too busy organizing his calendar to notice her own life changing. For days, she moves through the office like a ghost. She sits at desk 14B on the 3rd floor, answering emails that don't matter, scheduling meetings she's not invited to, watching the company transform into something unrecognizable. People walk past her without acknowledgement. The new office manager, a woman named Stephanie from New York with sharp heels and sharper emails, assigns her tasks with the casual indifference of someone delegating to a machine. Can you order supplies for the executive floor? Can you coordinate the catering for next week's board dinner? Can you make sure the conference room is set up by 8 a.m.? She does it all. Not because she cares. But because she doesn't know what else to do. At night, she goes home and opens the folder again. She reads the partnership agreement over and over, studying every clause, every condition, every word that described a future she'll never have. Equity stake, 2.5% vested over 4 years. Profit sharing effective immediately upon execution. Decision-making authority in operational strategy. She calculates what that would mean now, after the European deal. The company's valuation has tripled. Her 2.5% would be worth more than she'd earn in a decade at her current salary. More than that, it would have meant respect, a seat at the table, a voice that mattered. She thinks about all the late nights, the missed dinners, the weekends spent working while her friends built lives outside of conference rooms and spreadsheets. She thinks about the promises Daniel made in that cramped WeWork. If the company grows, you'll grow with it. He kept his promise. She just didn't show up to claim it. One evening, she's leaving the office when she sees Daniel in the lobby. He's standing near the elevator with 2 executives she doesn't recognize, laughing at something one of them said. He looks different now, more polished, more distant, like someone who's stepped into a role that's too big to include the past. She freezes, debating whether to approach him. Before she can decide, he sees her. For a moment, their eyes meet. She searches his face for something, recognition, regret, an unspoken apology. He smiles. Polite. Distant. Elena. How are things going? She wants to scream, she wants to ask him why he didn't tell her what was in the folder. Why he didn't make sure she understood. Why he trusted her with something so important and then disappeared before she could ask questions. Instead, she says, fine. Busy. Good. That's good. He glances at his watch. I'm late for a call, take care. And then he's gone, stepping into the elevator with the executives, the doors closing on a conversation she's no longer part of. She stands there in the empty lobby, feeling something crack inside her chest. He doesn't remember. Or worse, he does, and it doesn't matter anymore. That weekend, she makes a decision. She's going to leave. Not in anger, not in protest, just quietly, the way she's done everything else. She drafts her resignation letter on Sunday night, sitting at her kitchen table with a glass of wine she doesn't finish. Dear Stephanie. Please accept this as my formal resignation, effective 2 weeks from today. Thank you for the opportunity. Sincerely. Elena Marchetti. Short, professional, emotionless. She doesn't mention the folder, she doesn't mention the partnership, she doesn't give them the satisfaction of knowing how much it hurt. On Monday morning, she submits the letter. Stephanie replies within an hour. Acknowledged. HR will process your exit paperwork. Thank you for your service. No questions. No attempt to convince her to stay. Just acknowledgement, as mechanical as everything else. The next 2 weeks pass in a blur. She trains her replacement, a recent college graduate named Amy who takes notes in a color-coded notebook and asks enthusiastic questions about systems Elena built years ago. Amy doesn't know what this company used to be. She doesn't know about the cramped WeWork or the late nights or the early belief that felt like family. She just sees a sleek, successful startup with good benefits and free lunch. Elena doesn't tell her any of it. On her last day, there's no farewell party. No card signed by the team. Just a standard exit interview with HR and a box of her belongings, smaller now, after clearing out the third-floor desk. She walks out of the building at 4 p.m. on a Thursday, and nobody notices. 3 months later, she's working at a mid-sized consulting firm. The pay is slightly better. The hours are predictable. Her coworkers are pleasant but forgettable. It's fine, stable, safe. But sometimes, late at night, she searches for news about the company. It's everywhere now. Toronto startup expands to 5 countries after record funding round. Innovation leaders, how one company disrupted an entire industry. CEO Daniel Cross named to Forbes 30 under 40. She clicks on an article from a business magazine. There's a photo of Daniel in the new headquarters, floor-to-ceiling windows, exposed concrete, a team of 60 standing behind him. The article talks about the early days. The risk. The vision. The people who believed when no one else did. Her name isn't mentioned, not once. She closes her laptop and sits in the dark, feeling the full weight of what she lost. Not just money, not just equity. Legacy. Proof that she was there. That she mattered. That the 3 years she gave weren't just labor, they were foundation. But history is written by the people who stay visible. And she was never visible enough. She thinks about the folder one last time, sitting in a drawer in her apartment, a relic of a future that expired while she wasn't paying attention. And she realizes something that cuts deeper than regret. The opportunity didn't fail her. She failed to see it. There's a difference, and it's the kind of difference that reshapes a life. You know how people say the biggest mistakes aren't the things you do wrong, they're the things you don't do at all. She understands that now. She understands it perfectly. She doesn't quit. Not right away. After the consulting firm, after the months of trying to convince herself that stable is enough, she finds herself back in the startup world. A different company. A different city. She moves to Vancouver, takes a role at a tech company that's just raised its Series A. This time, she tells herself, it will be different. This time, she'll speak up, she'll ask questions, she'll make sure she's seen. But patterns are stubborn things. Within 6 months, she's back in the same position, the person everyone depends on but nobody notices. The one who keeps the engine running while others take credit for the speed. She stays for another year, watching the company grow around her, watching new hires rise past her with half the tenure and twice the confidence. One afternoon, her manager, a woman named Kira who moved from San Francisco and talks about scaling culture, pulls her into a meeting room. Elena, I want to talk about your trajectory here. She sits up straighter, hopeful despite herself. You're incredibly reliable. Everyone says that, but I'm not seeing the kind of strategic thinking we need at the senior level. You're executing well, but you're not positioning yourself as a leader. The words land like stones. What do you mean? Kira leans forward, her tone coaching but firm. You wait to be asked. You don't advocate for yourself. You don't make your value visible. In startups, perception is everything. If people don't see you leading, they won't think of you as a leader. Elena sits there, hearing the echo of every moment she stayed quiet, every time she said yes without asking what it would cost her, every opportunity she let pass because she thought competence would speak for itself. I understand, she says quietly, but she doesn't stay much longer. She leaves Vancouver after 18 months, not dramatically, just quietly, the way she's learned to exit rooms without anyone noticing she was there. She moves back to Toronto. Takes a corporate job, benefits, predictable hours, no equity, no dreams, just work that ends at 5 and doesn't follow her home. She's 31 now. Living in a one-bedroom apartment near High Park. She has friends, hobbies, a life that looks full enough from the outside. But sometimes, scrolling through her phone late at night, she sees updates from the old company. They're massive now. Offices in 12 countries. A valuation that makes headlines. Daniel did a TED Talk about resilience and vision. The video has 2 million views. She watches it once, against her better judgment. He talks about the early days. About the people who built the foundation when there was nothing but belief and caffeine. He talks about loyalty and trust and the invisible work that makes success possible. He doesn't say her name. But she wonders if he's thinking it. One evening, she's at a coffee shop in Liberty Village when she runs into Jenna. Her old co-worker. They haven't spoken in almost 2 years. Jenna lights up. Elena. Oh my God, how are you? They sit. They catch up. Jenna's still at the company, now a senior manager, leading a team of 8. You should have stayed, Jenna says, shaking her head. Things got so good after the restructure. They started promoting from within. People who were there from the beginning finally got recognized. Elena feels something twist in her chest. That's great. You would have been perfect for it. You knew the systems better than anyone. Elena forces a smile. I'm happy where I am. It's a lie, and they both know it. Before they part, Jenna says something that stays with her. I think about that time a lot. How things could have been different if people had just, I don't know, asked for what they deserved. Elena nods, but doesn't respond. Because she's learning that regret isn't just about what you did wrong. It's about what you didn't do at all. That night, she pulls out the folder one last time. The partnership agreement, faded now, corners bent from being carried and stored and revisited like a wound that never quite heals. She reads it slowly, not with anger anymore, but with something quieter. Acceptance, maybe. Or just exhaustion. Then she does something she should have done years ago. She throws it away, not ceremonially. Not with tears or speeches. She just walks to the kitchen, opens the trash bin, and lets it drop. It's over. It's been over. And holding on to the proof won't change that. Months pass. A year. Then another. She's 33 when she sees the final headline. Tech giant acquires Toronto startup in $800 million deal. The article includes a photo of the team celebrating in the new headquarters. Daniel's in the center, holding a champagne glass, surrounded by the people who stayed, who fought, who were there when it mattered. She scrolls through the names listed in the article, executives, early employees. People who joined after she left. Her name isn't there. And this time, it doesn't surprise her. She closes the article and sets her phone down. Outside her window, the city moves forward, people rushing to meetings, chasing dreams, building futures they hope won't slip away while they're not looking. She thinks about the girl she was at 28, sitting in that cramped WeWork, believing that hard work was enough. That loyalty would be rewarded, that opportunities announced themselves clearly. She wishes she could tell that girl the truth. Opportunities don't announce themselves. They arrive quietly, disguised as ordinary moments, a folder on a desk, a document that looks routine, a decision that seems small until it's too late to reverse, and the biggest tragedy isn't that you miss them. It's that you don't realize you missed them until the door has already closed. She doesn't cry. She's past that. She just sits in her apartment, in the life she built from what was left, and understands with perfect clarity. Some lessons arrive as wisdom. Others arrive as scars. This one was both. When diligence becomes invisible, it stops being valuable, it becomes expected. She gave everything to a company that rewarded visibility over loyalty, and when her moment came disguised as routine, she missed it. Not because she wasn't capable, but because no one taught her that greatness doesn't wait for you to be ready. The folder wasn't just a document. It was a test of awareness, of urgency, of understanding that opportunity rarely looks important when it arrives. Her story is a reminder: competence without advocacy is a whisper in a loud room. And sometimes, the cost of staying quiet isn't just recognition, it's legacy. If this story touched something in you, if you've ever worked in the background while others took the stage, or if you've missed something that mattered because it looked too small to notice, leave a comment. Tell us what spoke to you. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Hotspot True Life Stories, because the most powerful lessons don't come from fiction, they come from the lives we've all lived in silence.